Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all. Have you been well? Have you been behaving yourself? Have you been listening to the stories every week? Tell me, what have we been doing in the past 2 weeks? What have we been looking at? Moses? Remember little baby Moses? He grows up to be a man. And what did we see last week? That he got married and had a child. Yes, and he had to leave because the Pharaoh was going to kill him because he killed an Egyptian person, didn't he? And Moses had to escape. Now, we finished the story last week. He was tending his sheep, do you remember? And they came to a big mountain. Now, last week, I didn't tell you what the mountain's called. Do you know what the mountain's called? What is this mountain called? Where did Moses go to? Did you tell me? Does your parents know? Well, it has two names. We can call it Mount Horeb or Mount Sinai. Maybe you know the name Mount Sinai more, but that's God's mountain. Now, remember in the story we talked about Moses was a baby, and then we skipped 40 years later to when he left and he got married. Now this is another 40 years later, and Moses is now an old man. He's about 80 years old. And he comes to this mountain. And as he's coming to the mountain, he sees something. What does he see, do you think? He's looking up at the mountain and he sees something. He sees a fire. He sees something burning. And he's thinking to himself, what is that? A fire on a mountain? Would you go up and see it if you saw like a fire out of nowhere? You would, wouldn't you? You'd be like, yeah, I want to see what's going on here. And you'd climb, and that's what he did. He climbed the mountain and he saw the fire. He saw it and he was looking and it was burning. And inside the fire was what? A bush, a little tree. And as he was looking into the tree, into the bush, it wasn't burning up. Do you know what I mean by that? Just imagine you see something, a tree, and if you put fire to the tree will burn and it will turn black. But this tree wasn't doing that. And he started going closer and closer to see what's going on. And then he heard a voice. It was the voice of who, do you reckon? It was the voice of God. God was in that fire there. And you can see as he got closer, God spoke to him and said, do not come any closer. The ground you're in, the whole place around there is holy ground. Take off your sandals, God said, and bow before me. And Moses was curious. He was like, what's going on here? Why is God talking to me? How is God turning up in a bush? Who is this God? He's so confused. He spent so many years not talking to God, living in his family, and now suddenly God's talked to him from a mountain, from a bush, telling him it's holy ground and telling him. And then God speaks from the bush. And he says, Moses, I am the God of your forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I have heard the misery and the crying of your people back in Egypt. And God said, I'm going to send you, Moses, to rescue my people, because the Israelites are God's people. Moses is God's people. And God has seen the misery and the slavery. We've seen the slavery and the whipping, remember whip, of God's people, because Pharaoh was being very mean to them. And God is saying to Moses, I haven't forgotten about them. and I'm going to send you, Moses, to rescue them. What is one man going to do? How is Moses going to rescue millions of people? And remember, Pharaoh wanted Moses dead. So even though God's the greatest, is he asking something that's hard? It is a bit hard, but can God do it? Of course he can do it. But Moses is obviously scared and he's questioning God. He's saying, I don't know if I can do this, God. I'm not really sure I can do it. And God's saying, can't I do anything? Moses, why don't you just trust me? And Moses is just sitting there and he says, I'm not sure if I can trust you. I'm not sure I can do this job. Why are you choosing me? Can't you choose someone else? Is that how you would feel? God chose you and said, you are going to go all the way to Egypt and you're going to rescue the people and you're going to tell Pharaoh to let them go. Would you do it, or would you be scared that if you go to Egypt, the Pharaoh, he's going to kill you? So Moses is frightened. And you can see, he's like, if I go there, what am I going to say? And God says, he speaks to him again, and God says, go to the elders. Now the elders are the Jewish leaders there, because there's lots of Jewish people there. First go to them and tell them, I sent you. That's what God said. And Moses is like, yeah, but who are you? Who should I say? And God said, tell them, I am who I am. What? He looked confused too. God said, tell them, I am sent you. I am who I am. What does that mean? So that's an English word. But in the Hebrew, now possibly, we're not 100% sure what the exact word was, but maybe you've heard the word Yahweh. Have you heard that word? Or Jehovah, some people say. Because no one knows exactly what God said to Moses, but he gave him a name. I am who I am. Go to the Jewish leaders and tell them that. And Moses was like, is that it? And God said, yes, just go and tell them that if they're not convinced. And Moses said, is there something else you can help me? Because they're not going to believe me. And God said, okay. And Moses was carrying a staff. A stick. I've got one for you. Okay. And he said, okay, Moses, take your staff. You know this story, don't you? Throw it on the ground and it's going to turn into a wombat. Is that right? Turn into a fish. A dinosaur. A hippopotamus. What's it going to turn into? Shout it out. What's Moses' stick, his staff, going to turn into? A snake. Go to the elders, the people, the leaders in Egypt, the Israelite leaders. Show them that. If they don't believe that God sent Moses, then show them that. I'll put this away. And then it will turn back into a stick again. Show them that. And then God said, I'll give you something else to do. If they don't even believe that, then I'll give you another sign. Do you know the next sign? He said, put your hand inside your jacket. Now Moses, my hand's kind of white. His hand was like brown. And he would put it in. And when he would bring it out, it would be white. It would come out like that. It would be sick and diseased. I couldn't do that to myself, but I got a little glove. So imagine I put my hand in, and then, put the glove on now, and when I take it out, I was like, ah, my hand's all white, ah! And then I put it back in the jacket and pull it out. Oh, that's better. So that's what happened. He pulled it out, and it was all better again. He said, show them that. Show them the stick into the snake, show them that, they'll believe you. And then God said, but they might not. I'll give you something else to show to them. because I want them to believe. He said, go to the the Nile River. That's a big river in Egypt. Go to the Nile River, get some of the water, and then throw it in front of them on the ground, and it will turn into blood. Wow. So have I got a thing for that? Oh, okay, I've got to find a cup. I think I have a cup, one sec. Yeah, here's a cup. So I've got a cup. I'm just going to get some water. Now, I can't get water from the Nile River because the Nile River's in Egypt, so we're just going to get normal tap water. And then we're not going to throw water on the ground because my bubble's going to get wet. So we'll just put water in the cup. So here we got some water here. I didn't get too much. I don't want to get. So what happened was he's like, pour the water. So I'm just pouring it into the cup. Pour it all. Pour it all. And then after they poured the water will then turn into blood. And so yuck! It's very bloody. Oh, yeah, it turned into blood. So yeah, let's get rid of the bloody water. That's no good. So that's a third sign. And tell them that. So when he would do that, the water would go in there, he would pour it out, and it will be blood. Do that for them. Moses was still not happy. Look at it. Oh, I'm still scared. I'm not a very good speaker. When I speak, I get nervous, and can you send someone else? And God was angry. He was angry with him, and he said, no, Moses, I've chosen you. Stop being scared. I've given you all these signs. What else do you want? And he bows down. He said, please, Lord, send someone else. I'm a bad speaker. And God said, all right, I'll give you your brother Aaron. Your brother Aaron will help you speak. And Moses was finally happy. He said, okay, I've got all these signs. I've got my brother. I'm going to go to Egypt. I'm going to go tell the rulers of Israel. I'm going to then go to Pharaoh. Okay, we're going to do it. So we see here, he goes down the mountain and he's happy. He calls his family, that's his children and his wife, and said, everyone, get ready. We are going to Egypt. And then he takes a walk, and he's walking, and he looks for his brother, and he finds his brother Aaron, and he gives him a hug, and he says, we are going to Egypt to do something amazing. And that's what he does. That's the last picture we have there. So, what did we see in this story? We saw God calling Moses to go meet Pharaoh and to tell Pharaoh to let God's people go. Moses was very scared. Moses was afraid. But in this story, what did we learn? We learn we shouldn't be afraid because God is so big and so awesome. And when God asks us to do something, we should trust in God because God never breaks his promises. We shouldn't be too scared. We should trust. And God is so gracious to Moses. He gives him these signs, even though Moses is so afraid. And we know what's going to happen later, don't we? We know what God's going to do. So I think we need to trust God because God never breaks his promises. And Moses was very afraid, but eventually he did trust God. And it's always good to trust God. Because God can do anything and God's all powerful. So, next week, we are going to see Moses and Aaron and his family go to Egypt, where all the danger is. What's going to happen? He's going to meet Pharaoh. What's going to happen there? He's going to meet his own people. Are they going to listen to him once he shows them the signs? What is God going to do? Is he going to rescue his people? Is he going to keep his promise? So please come back next week because the story's not over. There's still a long way to go and Moses still has a lot to do and God definitely still has a lot to do. And it's exciting things to see our God and how amazing he is. So thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the story. I'll see you next week. Bye.